My name's Jon Taylor and I'm actually the food bank manager for Brixton, but we're part of the London Brixton Food Bank. I've been working here in this capacity for 6 months, but previously I've been volunteering for about 2 years. I'm very passionate about what Food Bank does, and so when the opportunity came to work full time, it was something that I couldn't ignore. What we do here is we see between 25 and 30 clients each session. We have 2 sessions a week, and within that we get people that need benefit advice, debt advice, that have sometimes no recourse to public funds, sometimes would have lost their job, and sometimes sadly there's even domestic abuse. So they're the sort of things that people come for, and despite our best attempts, we still had a 31% increase year on year, and we feed up to 9,000 people last year alone.
How does the process work from walking in the door to walking around with some food?
We don't give people food unless they have a voucher. This is just to safeguard our food stocks and to ensure that people are genuine. But most of the time we don't give food unless there is a voucher. But they get a voucher from a care professional, a social worker, schools, police, job centres, key workers, probation officers, anybody really in the community that is in touch with vulnerable people. And then they get referred with a red voucher. They come into the food bank, and we pass that voucher on to the back team that actually get the stock off the shelves to produce the parcels. And in the meantime, we have individuals, volunteers that will sit with the client, take their food requirements, but also sit, listen, find out how their day's going, find out what the bigger picture is, what their needs are, how we can help in other ways. Can we signpost to other organisations? Can we pass on to our advice team that are here in the building? Can we point them on to a church environment perhaps? And just try and meet their needs, but also just listen, because people are just lonely. People just often want to talk, and so I encourage people just to stop and listen to what people have got to say as well.
Where do you get all your food from?
We get our food from members of the public, in fact, and almost all the food that we get in is just from the really generous, kind donations from people that live in the area. It's quite astounding, in fact, sometimes the generosity of people that, and some people just haven't got the food to give, but they'll still come in and give food because there's almost that community, neighbourhood spirit that you talk about from the days of the war and how afterwards everyone bonded together. You get that with food banks. Food banks help shape communities. They actually help build communities. So people do come in to donate food just with a carrier bag sometimes, with a can of beans. And we also do supermarket collections where we do 2 or 3 days and we get a ridiculous response from members of the public. And we also have a temporary basket at Tesco, and that fills up every week with 150 kilograms of food given by members of the public. So it's just the community and their extreme generosity that helps keep this project going.
How do you think we're in this situation where we have to donate food for people who are hungry? I mean, how have we ended up here?
I think food poverty has always existed in this country. Certainly in my lifetime, I think food poverty's been there. I think partly we've been less aware of it. It's been less acceptable to actually engage with what's going on. It's been brushed under the carpet. I think awareness through organisations like Trussell Trust, through charities and through the church has increased over recent years. But I also think there is actually a tangible, sad scenario where people are genuinely in need and the cost of living is such, or circumstances are such, that dictate that people can genuinely not survive and are honestly very, very hungry because of circumstances outside their control, a time of crisis, if you like. So I think the economic climate is partly to blame for the situation we've got. and I think it's also a reality of the cost of living and changing in people's environment.
There's a fine line between having everything and having nothing. And where most of your people coming from who walk through the door, what backgrounds have they got, do you think? Like today we saw 3 Polish guys who didn't have anything. They looked hungry. They walked through the door. You weren't able to give them any food, and that's one example of a current issue which is going about at the minute with immigration and people coming here with no money, whatever. That's one side of it. The people like that coming in. Who else comes in?
So people come to Food Bank from a big variety of backgrounds, I suppose. You would get people who have lost their job fairly recently. There was a guy in this morning that was awaiting benefits. He was checking into they call it mental institution anymore, do they? But he was checking into a hospital to look at some counselling. He had lost his job in February because of drug addiction. So his scenario was he was encouraged to resign rather than be sacked, so he could still get a reference. But he's now checked in with a really good local organisation to help him with his drug problems, and so we were able to support him as he was awaiting his benefit. So there was a benefit delay, and that had been 1 or 2 weeks, but he was expecting it any time now, but he was also expecting it any time now a week ago. So, I mean, that's a big one we get, if I'm honest, is people that come in through benefit delays and also sanctioning.
Caught up in the system.
Yes, exactly that. People are caught up in the system, and they, through very genuine reasons, are sometimes unable to make appointments with the job centre. Often they've let the job centre know they're not coming, and yet the job centre feels it's obliged to...
There's quite a few more people here. I don't know if that may be that you work here. I think there's quite a few more people.
Thank you. I'll come back. Thanks. Sorry. I might just start that question again, which was reasons why people come. So there's lots of different reasons why people come to Food Bank, of course. One we're seeing a lot of at the moment is sanctioning, and where people are waiting for their benefits to come in, or they're waiting for, or they're being penalised, in fact, for not attending an appointment. And often people have got a very, very genuine reason for not attending the appointment. Also, sometimes people find it really hard just to run their lives through depression, mental illness, and so it's very difficult to expect people to operate to the same level all the time, and there really isn't any leniency for that. And the sanctioning, the punishments are often very, very severe. So I see people that have come and they might be waiting 2 months to get the benefits that they're entitled to, and there is some process is in place to get some money to help for that, but actually the reality is that takes a long time. So they could be going for 5-6 weeks without any food at all and for no government assisted help, and that to me is actually morally wrong, and that causes severe hunger. And Food Bank can help a bit because we give emergency food for 3 days, and we give that on 2 or 3 occasions, but that's not enough to actually help resolve this situation. We aren't an organisation that can be a long-term fix. We're here to try and put a sticking plaster on. We're trying to help in a small way, and so I really feel, in terms of what could be done, we really need to look at that whole sanctioning process, because it seems very unfair and it's causing a lot of people a lot of discomfort and ill health.
Interesting. You've got to protect yourself, I guess, in with who comes through the door in many ways. And going back to them 3 Romanian guys, they left without any food. And what would it be if it was a woman with 3 children walking through? Now, I'm not getting at any angle here, but all my question is really: is there no way to give somebody like a 1-strike emergency package if they come in here, whether they've got 3 children who haven't eaten for a day, 2 days, or they're 3 guys who just need to eat? is there a system in place where, you know, they can come in and you go, okay, here's a bag of food, there's a one strike, you now register. If you come back again, you have to be a registered person. I mean, I guess it stops people from going from food bank to food bank to food bank, claiming free food just without registering. But isn't there a system set up which maybe helps to do that? If you walked in and somebody said, oh, there's a food bank there, you get food, and they come in, they don't get anything, and they walk away frustrated, which they walked away quite frustrated, and you've got all this food downstairs. Is there no way, is there no sort of bridge there?
No, that's a fair point, a fair question. One of the ways we would look at resolving that, and I think it's what the volunteer in question tried to do, was to signpost. So although we don't offer food without a voucher, we do have a list of organisations that do have food. So what we would do in that situation is trying to show them on a map which places they could go to get food, a hot meal probably in this case, so that they could get their initial needs met. And then also we would refer them to someone that could give them a voucher, so the next opportunity they could come down and get a voucher. It's a good point in terms of having an emergency stash of food, and I leave that to my session leader's discretion, because the sort of a model that's quite good to use is, what would Jesus do? And actually he did feed the hungry, and there's a difficult balance in terms of preserving a limited food stock, but also if we see a genuine need, then we want to try and help. So in that situation today, we could have given a little bit of food, done a one strike. We've done it before, so it is the discretion of the session leader, but also we do try and signpost, and we do signpost it.
You did. I saw that.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
I did see the information, and I actually read the information afterwards, and you did show them 5 or 6 different places. Yeah. They were a little. One of them was a bit drunk, I thought, and I could see why they were getting a bit aggressive and a bit frustrated. They're hungry. I'm hungry now, and I need some food. But I can. It must be horrific.
It was hard, wasn't it? It was hard to see.